Non, non, ça va, merci. Now, of course, there are no wrong or right answers, right? Are you living the American dream? Okay. So why don't you just turn to a partner if you would like to share, all right? And if you don't want to share exactly what you wrote, what did that make you think of? Okay, so just take a little minute to talk about that. You girls want to turn here?
Yes. Have a job I enjoy, health, family, so can't complain. That's where we are too. We have a safe home, healthy kids, stability. We don't have to worry about moving either.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. That's about it.
All right, we'll come back. Merci bien. Is there anybody who wants to share?
Well, when you think about the American dream, you think of, oh, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to have a nice home, I'm going to have a nice family, I'm going to like what I'm doing. I added another one in there. I fit one of those.
Interesting. So the definition maybe as a culture that we have of the American dream that we grew up with, and then how you see yourself fitting into those.
Right.
All right, interesting. Yes?
I said yes. I mean, I came from very humble beginnings, and I was able to go to school because I got a scholarship for like working hard in school and doing well, and I chose what profession I wanted to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm making a living at it, and if I wanted to, I could change it. I mean, are we rolling in if you think of American Dream as being money, no, but
Right.
I feel like it's fluid, like you decide, and you can make it happen, and I don't feel like I was ever denied any of those things. That may not be the same
Excellent.
thing for everybody, but for me it wasn't. So.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Others? Yes, ma'am.
I said baby.
Okay.
Being the first to have a college degree in the family, so there's an opportunity there. Definitely living better than my parents.
Yeah, that's part of our American dream as well, isn't it? Very good. All right, thank you. All right, well, this question was posed to me in France. I was visiting, look at me, see, I don't even know my slides, sorry, isn't that cute? Okay, voila. All right, this one So I was in France. I have a friend who was teaching at that time in the middle school in the suburbs of Paris. And in fact, in this particular suburb, and this was well before it happened, with the terrorist attacks, and we've had in France some policewomen killed, some of the perpetrators did come from this area of Paris. So she has had a very diverse classroom. And in fact, she had the kids go around, tell Madame where they were working in English on their nationality and then their origins. 20 kids, 20 different origins. Some born, but most of them, some born there, but most of them born in France, but their parents had come from 20 different places from all around the world. It was incredible. So I don't know if it was this little one, but it was a cutie like this. He said, Madame, they could ask me questions. And he says in English, are you living the American dream? And I was like, this is a really big responsibility to answer. Because before that, things were like, have you been to Miami? At that time, they all wanted to go to Miami. They all like 50 Cent, and all that stuff. So they saw that living large type of America. I was like, I don't know, right? And so I was blessed, and I thought really quick. And I said, I'm going to tell you my answer to your question regarding my professional life more than my family. I wanted to kind of remove that. You know, I love my family and I'm blessed and all that stuff. So I said, yes, I am. Because I talk about and I work with my passion, which is French, every day, and they paid me. Okay? And I think, I hope all of us language teachers, we're known, right? As, oh, she's the Spanish person, he's the French person, he's the German person. And if they see anything from France or Germany or Paris or France or Spanish-speaking country, they send that to you. They talk to you about it. When Notre Dame became, I mean, I got so many emails, so many Facebooks from people I haven't heard of from in years, because they connect me with that in some way, right? So I think that's really a gift, to be able to live my passion every day, and I think we have a lot of freedom in how we do that. So I just want us to really think about that we can live our American dream every day, all right? And they do pay you for it, so that's really cool. Okay. All right, so, all right, the Merces here we go. So how can I keep living the dream? Because there are forces against us. But, you know, my husband pointed out, and my husband is not a teacher. I've tried to teach him French. It's not possible. I'm sorry. And he said, well, there are in all professions, right? In all professions, there are things we come up against. All right, so we kind of sometimes, I think, have to step back and go, this is not unusual, that I maybe don't like all my colleagues, that people are criticizing what I do, that the audience didn't like what I had today, that I feel like I have too much work right now, there's not enough funding. I mean, these things happen in other professions, okay? So, come on. Well, okay, maybe that's all I got there. Come on now. There. Okay. So we want to talk about kids first. Okay, kids first. And getting new strategies. This is something I did 4 years ago with CI. Hopefully I was getting new strategies before that. But a really big shift, right? 4 years ago to the CITPRS. And keep learning. I tell you, with the keep learning, I learned, this lesson came to me, would have been in like maybe 2000. We were moving to a new building in Ankeny. And they were changing from traditional K-8 to 9-12 building to an 8-9 building. We had a 6-7 building, an 8-9 building. And Frank Weibel had been teaching, it was his last year, coming up his last year, 40 years of teaching science, 8th grade science. And they said, would you like to teach 9th grade science? And he said, sure. First time in his life, and he was going to take on something new his very, very last year. And I thought that was really admirable. And certainly at the time, not something that people did. We were really in our ruts. We were really, really in our ruts. And then we want to encourage people, good people, to join our wonderful profession. I was just thrilled to see that student teachers are here today, all right? And we want to encourage them and appreciate that. Okay, so I'm a big Twitter fan, and I'll show you something that I do in the class. And this is from Eric Scheninger, and he says, to build powerful relationships, okay? And that's a big word, right? In your schools, is relationships a big word? All right? They're always asking, do the kids have a relationship with an adult in the building? All right, and I'll take a little bit more extension, I think, of that in a minute. He says, love your kids more than the subject you teach and or the grade level you work with. And I really had to think about that one. Do I love my kids more than French? Wow. I hate to say it, but I was like, I better really work on that now. I do love my kids. I do love my kids, right? Would I love them as much if I taught them English or science? All right, it's a nice marriage I've got here with my French. So really something important, I think, to think about. That if the French falls away, we still have that loving relationship with our students. Use feedback and positive reinforcement as the main learning motivator, not grades or marks. And is it Scott who's going to talk about standards-based, I think, today? And I'm very interested in that. That stuff really gets me. I have a hard time sometimes moving over to that. I've just not been educated in that enough. And we talked this week in our PD. We had a lady come and talk about this, and let me tell you, in a room of 100 teachers, there's some rumblers out there, that they're about the grades, they're about the marks, they're about, the participation gets the grade as well as, your homework and all that stuff. So we've got a little bit of a pushback from some of our teachers, not necessarily our language teachers at all. And then number 3, for your relationships, of course, be empathetic, right, with the kids. So sometimes those naysayers, they're talking about, well, those kids, they just don't need those cell phones. They need to, do it this way. I grew up without a cell phone, and I could do it this way. And, I did, 4 hours of homework a night, and, nobody let me retake the test, and all these type of things, okay? So I just want to tell you some of the background knowledge that I have that my kids have no clue about. When we say water cooler talk, I always think of people talking about TV shows. Did you watch the last episode of MASH? Of course you did. We all watched the last episode of MASH, and that's all we talked about the next day. We have 4 channels to watch. They have 400 channels to watch, right? A lot of them, I don't know, Game of Thrones or something like that. It seems like a phenomena, that everybody's watching it. I haven't seen one of them. You could tell me a name of the characters in Game of Thrones, and I don't know one of them. I've seen the first 3 Star Wars. The first 3. The first one came out in 1977. I have seen none of the prequels. I don't even understand what that means. Okay? I saw this Twitter thing, and I don't know, Selena Gomez was with Adam Driver. I'm like, who's that, you guys? And they're like, he's in Star Wars, madame. I said, he is not in Star Wars. Okay. And I mean, I pride myself on keeping up, but it's hard to keep up, right? It's hard to keep up on all that stuff. So, okay, on the computer, when they say put it in a folder, this is what my brain sees. My students' brains don't see that. When I think file, I got to file it. I'm thinking pull out the drawer. They don't think that way. All right? Have you ever given a kid a manila folder? They put the documents in backwards. Sometimes I'll pull out their folder to see, well, what did you do? It's upside down. They don't get it. Okay? I say sorry, Charlie, a lot. And they go, my name's not Charlie, madame. So I was like, do you guys not know this? Is this not it? And then I love the vocabulary. We dial the phone. We hang up the phone in French, right? It's all about hooking it and unhooking it, right? And all that stuff. They don't know what that means, okay? So they do come to us with a different background knowledge. And I just think we need to appreciate that. And not try to tell them that we did walk uphill, backwards in the snow and all that stuff, okay? All right. So, a student-centered classroom, okay? You know what? I didn't like that slide. I didn't get rid of it, sorry. Okay, creating relationships. Excuse me. I remember I was like, I can't do this. Creating relationships, creating language, okay? And this is from Grant Boulanger, just a couple days ago, as you see, okay, a week or so ago. He says, I'm just going to retweet this. All right, Liam Printer, it was a very interesting guide to go and see. But he said this. He said, the more we try to make our classes look like the rest of the school, the more disengagement we'll see. Our classes need to be refuges from the monotony of the ever homogeneous classroom. Accepting acquisition accepting that, I think we need. Accepting that acquisition is subconscious frees us to make our class even more compelling. Let's unpack this. I think it's huge, all right? So can you get in your little discussion groups? And I'd say, I think you need to discuss the first sentence, I think the second, and then the third, okay? So let's have just a minute or so of discussion about that, and then we'll come together. Talking about relationships again.
Really important.
I know. Uh-huh.
Most of my students would say, it's great.
Let's talk about that and then how we relationship that out.
Well, we're about input, so we're about like whatever we're doing, like providing knowledge and what we're doing in that arena. So figure out what we answer about what
Whereas they're saying, since it's subconscious, we learn through play, kids learn through play, so that just opens it up. You can be learning no matter what you are doing, you don't have to be sitting in a chair.
right, and well, I think with that, like I said, I think that in a foreign language you have such a freedom to reach that student interests where other like and how
You have to have that interest. I'm sure there are other ways, but. Okay, I hate to interrupt you. Do you have any sharing about the more we try to make our classes look like the rest of the school, the more disengagement we'll see? If you don't know Grant Boulanger, big CI guy, right? Okay, Minnesota. So this is coming from a CI person. He's one of us, language teacher.
The first thing that I thought of was the sterile white walls, where you don't see anything in the classroom that tells you what you're going to be studying when you walk in that room, or anything like that. It drives me crazy.
We're worried about that. Our new school, apparently, we are not going to have a classroom. We're not going to own a classroom. It's all about the real estate and the cost of the real estate and using all the real estate as much as we can. So we will go into our office pod, So we're worried about that. I'm optimistic we'll figure it out. But we'll just wheel all of our posters with us, see how that is. Okay. Our classes need to be refuges from the monotony of the ever homogeneous classroom. What else is homogeneous? Do you agree with that? Are there ever homogeneous classrooms? What drives that?
That kind of reminds me of like first grade, where the kids walk in, they pick up the worksheet, they go to their desk, they work on the worksheet, there's no interaction with the teacher at all, and they don't even realize what happened to the teacher.
Yeah,
They just
right.
turn them in at the end of the classroom.
Yeah. And I guess for me, that kind of smacked of testing. That we gotta get this stuff done so they can take the test. But I think we need to get out there and go into classrooms. As a model teacher in my district, I was allowed the opportunity to go and visit other classrooms, which I had never done. And in fact, until I became a mentor of Monica and Nikki, who are here today, lovely, wonderful teachers, I had never watched a colleague teach. Maybe in a workshop, maybe, oh, this is what I did for my lesson, look, but never live and in person. And that is just a crime. It's a crime. We had our presenter the other day say that she became a junior and followed a kid around a school day and just how much she learned. But this is where we have to help our profession change. I feel like foreign language, we are all about the open door. We are all about sharing. We're getting so much better than when I started teaching. Nice people, you guys, but, this is my thing. I'm not sharing it with you because the kids might like you better than me, okay? And now, it's open door, and I feel like the student teachers in all disciplines are coming in and having that open door attitude. So that's really good. But I would encourage you to encourage your other colleagues about that. And then accepting acquisition is subconscious. Acquisition is subconscious, frees us to make class even more compelling. I think back here somebody was saying how lucky we are we get to talk about, fun stuff, right? Really easily. I mean, I'm sure a science teacher can figure out, how to make it compelling. But ours, I think, is pretty darn easy. Easy. What were you saying, Meg, about some kids don't always like this kind of open concept?
Stephen and I kind of brought up two topics, which I'm sure we can all talk about forever. But I agree with this wholeheartedly because of how I am as a person. I'm very interactive with the world, and I want to be a part of it. And not all students are like that. definitely think of two specifically that every day would kind of shrink in their chair, hoodie up, because that demand in their engagement is so out of their comfort zone. They're more comfortable with the homogenous, I go to my class, I do my work, and this is what expected. I mean, my students will say, like, we never know what to expect in Spanish class, and I'm like, good. But then there's, the 10% of them that are freaking out because they don't know what to expect, because we're going to go off on a tangent, and so that's uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, and I think those are definitely things to talk about with your colleagues. How can we serve those kids? Not lose what we know is good practice. And I have a picture I hope that I think you'll appreciate about a boy that I did not realize, was engaged. Was engaged in his special way, and that's really cool. Okay, let's continue. Oh, I can't remember who this is, but, gosh, this acquisition thing, it is so cool. He says, the power of teaching languages with comprehensible input in TPR stories and the relationship it builds, leading students to be motivated to try to use the language. This is a level 1 student. He's age 12. Of course, there are errors. That's the beauty of it. He didn't have a fear to try. And that's the biggest change that I have seen in my students, is that affective filter that was like the number one thing in teaching methods class back in the day, is really, really diminished. Right? So, he says, hola, señor Printer, lo siento, yo pienso que no hay clase el lunes, puedes hablar el miércoles, gracias. How nice, all right, how nice. And that just warms your heart when you get those, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go through, it's kind of like, this is your life, Stacy Dobernecker. So these are just some of the things that I've done some of them for many years, and some of them new things. Some of them I think, a big CI person might go, you shouldn't be doing that, too much English or whatever, but we'll see. So one thing I would encourage you to do is write birthday cards to your kids. Mike Beeman in Ankeny Schools, a special ed teacher, taught me this 20 years ago. And he said, after kids are about 14, some of them, their parents, don't do as much for their birthdays. They've got younger siblings, they get more attention. Certainly, the birthday party kind of idea, some kids try to hide away from it. So I write them a little birthday card. Today I was like, you need to write these in 98% comprehensibility, Stacy. Okay? Because I have two things going against me. My comprehensibility might not be where the kids are at, and they can't read my cursive anymore. This is a problem, okay? I did have one student, Max, and Max is a very interesting guy. I think, bless his heart, I think he might be bipolar, but we've talked to his parents. But finally this year he said, I don't want my birthday. I don't want it, and he just privately came to me. And after 4 years, so I think I kind of need to offer that, all right? I also give 3 things of candy. I have candy bowls. I have a chocolate bowl and I have a non-chocolate bowl because you cannot mix those. And then in 4th year, do not tell, in 4th year, everybody gets candy when it's your birthday, okay? 1st through 3rd, your birthday, you get 3 pieces of candy, yay for you, okay? 4th year, you get 3 pieces and everybody else gets 1. Okay, and they're like so excited. It's so funny. I also had a kid who I never saw him eat sugar in 4 years. And finally this year, I brought out my thing of almonds. I'm like, would you like some almonds? Because he would never take the candy. We do La Francophonie, and I'm going back to French 1 this year, so I'm excited about La Francophonie. I started teaching, we didn't have internet. If you could download a picture, if you're downloading a picture, you went and you did a load of laundry as it was downloading. So this has changed from a scrapbook to most often online. And the idea is that you can find French outside of our classroom all the time, right? NAFTA really helped with that because we had to put everything listed in French. But we have different categories, and the kids, it's a scavenger hunt, if you will, where the kids are to find something in technology, something in fashion, something in food, something a current event, a sport, etc. And they're very fluid categories. They can go anywhere. And throughout the semester, they gather these things. They share them with the class. And it just really helps me launch cultural conversations, which I do now a lot with Twitter. But that's a really fun one. So here they are. Some are in the scrapbooks. We have a gallery, and we look at those. I do Cher Père Noël every year, Father Christmas, where the ones and twos write a letter to Père Noël, and the threes and fours write them back and give them a gift of up to $1. This year, I got a hip replacement. I had a hard year. I got a hip replacement in November, and so I wasn't there at Christmas time. So we did Saint Valentin. We did St. Valentine's Day, and the kids kind of they like this better. It worked better for that. My French twos do something very fun called Don't Pardon My French. I bought these cards in Minneapolis at the Sofitel. There's a beautiful boutique at the Sofitel years and years ago. And these are French phrases that we use in English. And I'll do 3 a week. And we talk about what does this mean word for word? What's the translation? Savoir-faire. Okay? Savoir means to know, as in knowledge. Faire means to do or to make. Savoir-faire, how do we use it in English? There are actually 2 ways, where you have savoir-faire in gardening or something like that, or a person who has savoir-faire is able to be in any situation and be comfortable. You can go to the opera and be comfortable, go to the rodeo and be comfortable, you know. So we talk about those. And then they have to take an assessment. And this is where I really, really encourage you to give kids choices for assessments. And we have 3 choices: paper, pencil, write it down, tell me what it means, and then write a sentence in which I know that you know what it means. So some of the sentences are kind of funny because you can't just say, he has great savoir-faire. You have, oh, you know, he has great savoir-faire in, you know, this thing to show me that they know what it means. So let's see, do I have, and then you can draw, okay? And some kids choose to draw. Sarah thought the bubble wrap dress her little sister made for her doll was ugly and uncreative. But her mom disagreed, calling it avant-garde and praising its uniqueness. Is that sweet? Ah. The babysitter frantically tried to stop the kid who decided to call 911, but it was a fait accompli. She could already hear the operator on the other end. All right? And I was thinking, how can, you know, Spanish is the other language that I know better. You know, I know a little bit. And I thought, how could we do that? You know, we do have some Spanish expressions coming into our language. You know, if you go to Chicago, you see tons of billboards. I think you know you could think about something. Oh, so I tweeted this. I was watching Jeopardy. The category is core curriculum, and it's this 3-word French phrase means group, morale, and camaraderie. Class. Oh, it's core curriculum is your category. The Stanford girl didn't get it either. Oops. Esprit de corps. Esprit de corps. Yeah. So I was like, I asked my students, and they're like, Esprit de corps. I'm like, well, the Stanford girl didn't get it. You know, and they were like, oh, that's really cool. Okay, so this I have to read. Oh, geez, where are they? Oh, they're over here. This, oh my gosh, this cracked me up. At the end, we do a culminating one. Where, come on now, I gotta find it here, or I will be sad. Okay, so at the end, the kids are invited to either take a paper pencil test where, you know, they just write out sentences using them, or they can make a skit, which is also one of the weekly choices. But this weekly skit was so fun. It's 2 girls, and so there are 2 characters, Wayne and Garth. Welcome back to Wayne's World, guitar noise. I'm nervous, make Garth face. Cool your jets, man. Get a little sang-froid. Compose yourself. I'm sorry, I'm just afraid that I'm going to forget my lines. Just relax. Did I mention that Cassandra invited us to her album release party? Cassandra Shawing. What does RSVP mean, Wayne? Répondez s'il vous plaît. It's a fancy way of saying to call her back. If I were her, I'd keep a laissez-faire policy for my guests. I wouldn't want them to feel pressured to reply or to come. Weird look. Make a weird look. Garth, that makes no sense. I know. Should we stop the show now? They haven't even begun taping 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So they incorporated all those words into that little skit, right? And then this one, I think this was at the very end. These guys, in every single skit, one of them fell. The same kid fell. Wow, Ujjal, I can't believe this is our last Don't Pardon My French skit. This has really been a great liaison between French and English. It definitely has been. It just has that je ne sais quoi about it. I'm really going to miss doing these skits with you every week. Me too. Don't pardon my French, is my raison d'être. Life is going to be so much different without it. Someone finish me off now. I need a coup de grace to end my suffering. Life is not worth living without DPMF. Don't pardon my French. Au contraire, my friend. Life is still worth living. Besides, it would be a faux pas to end, don't pardon my French, on a bad note. Just think, this could be the start of something new and avant-garde. I know, you're right. Of course I am. Would it make you feel better if we ate some hors d'oeuvres at my pied de terre? Yeah, I think that would help me get over my DPMF as my idée fixe. I see you have a penchant for don't pardon my French. You always wrote really good skits. Thanks, so did you. Don't pardon my French seems to bring out our esprit de corps. Well, don't pardon my French is over. It's a fait accompli. C'est la vie. Whoa, wait a minute. You're not going to do our we're not going to do our last skit without you sans you falling down, are we? No, we can't do that. That would be a faux pas. Oh gosh, a femme fatale, run for your life. And they run away and Ujjal falls. So, right? So, great fun. I love these. I love these. We talk about tea ceremonies in Africa, and so we make Moroccan mint tea and get sugary water all over the floor. Have to tell the janitor, so we go get bugs. Le film annuel. This is your February thing. This is your late January, February thing. I show the same film to all 4 levels, differentiate the learning content. You get culture and history, and it's like one prep kind of, right? And I don't show a movie in 2 days. I mean, I talk and we do activities, and it takes at least, I'd say 7 days of class to do this. And then I say, you have to go watch this film all the way through now, because we've chopped it up so. Find really good movies that have deep meaning. Unfortunately, but all my movies have boys, so I have to do some searching to find some with girls. But they never complain. They never say anything about them. So that's just kind of a teacher talk. But Le Film Annuel, it's great. There's like, when's our film? Are we going to watch the film? And at the end of 4 years, they've watched them all, right? C'est la vie is my French 2 culture project. And, I guess I do have a link there. And it has a menu. So the kids are going to investigate French further by doing what they want, okay, over the semester. And they have to get 35 to 40 points. So that's really the only hoop they have to go through. All right, are they going to watch a film of their choosing in French? Are they going to study a Francophone country? Are they going to read a book in English? Right, this is French 2, so we read a book in English that has some kind of French hook, right? The Second World War, or, a lot of those, girl marries a Parisian, moves to Paris, stuff like that. Any kind of hook. Music or art, painters, composers. I have kids who are very accomplished in the arts and, will study Chopin and then play Chopin for us. An article or an interview in English. We have a lot of people in Ames who have done sabbaticals, or we have French-speaking people in our community, or they can make food. Okay, so they can make food. They could do it's 30 to 35 points, because they could do 6 foods. If they want, that's fine. If they just want to cook, that's cool. But they can't make chocolate crepes, strawberry crepes, lemon crepes, and ham crepes. Crepes is one, and then other things. So this has been really, really successful in just getting the kids to kind of explore what they like about French. Because why do kids sign up for French? Why do they sign up for Spanish? Sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's family, but sometimes there's other hooks and maybe other passions that they have. So that's been fun, and I can send that to you if you want. This is a yogurt tasting. This was done during plus time, which is like seminar if you have seminar. So a lot of these kids I didn't even know. And Chobani had come out with their French yogurt, which, I really like. And so we were kind of talking about that. So I got like a plain and a strawberry of A.E., Chobani, Yo Play, and I can't remember what else. And, really, we graded them and talked about it, but that was it. But it was really, really fun. Really, really fun. Every year, our students have the opportunity to go to Minneapolis on a Saturday. If you've not been to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, please go. It's the most beautiful museum. We see the French works with a guide, and we separate into about 4 groups of 10 kids each. And then they have time at the museum on their own, and then we go to a French lunch. And the way we do this is that we sell cookie dough, and the cookie dough money pays for the bus, and then the kids pay $35 for their meal. And I've had kids go every year for 4 years straight. Because every year it's a little different, maybe for the art. We visit a different restaurant. And this provides the opportunity for kids who maybe can't go to France to do something. And you know what? Driving up in the coach is half the fun for them. They love to be on a bus trip and tell jokes and listen to songs and watch movies and stuff like that. So that's been just a beautiful, beautiful time. Here we are at the restaurant 2 years ago.
You take all levels or what?
All levels, yes, all levels. And this year they had a couple of docents who spoke French, so we put our 3 4s in those 2 groups, and that was great. That was the first time that we'd had that. And it was my CI kids. My first CI kids have graduated now, and I think that they were like, wow, Madame, I understood that. It was really cool, really cool. I do my best to bring kids in, to bring people in, to talk about just what a language can do for you, right? You can couple it with anything else that you want to do in the world. So this is a young lady who's a daughter of a friend from high school who went to Spain to study and then went to Spain to work. And she was talking everything about, how to convince your parents, how to finance it, what she learned, why she thinks it's important, and the kids were captivated. And we invited all of our language students. She was specifically Spanish, but we invited everybody. I do 2 other things. I do FCA, and I do Fiber Club. Apparently I like the letter F, French, FCA, and Fiber Club. And I started knitting about 7 years ago. Truly, all I do are scarves and washcloths. It's something that I can get done, and I can talk at the same time. But I've had many, many different kids in my classroom, therefore, and I get a lot of kids who are they don't have another club. I get some boys, and I always tweet them when they've learned to knit, and we have a really, really good time. So, and I encourage you to, do something like that. Okay, so this is one of my pride and joys. I learned this as a homeroom activity a long time ago in middle school. So towards the end of senior year, I've had most of those kids 3 to 4 years, right? And in the best of all circumstances, you put all the kids spread around the room facing the wall. They all have a clipboard and a piece of paper. And you say, okay, without looking, do not look, do not talk. Please write down the first and last name of everyone in this class. You just do it, and they do it. And then I put on beautiful music, and they do that. And then I go through the roster. I say, I'm going to go through the roster. If you have the person, you just gently check mark. If you did not put that person down, don't freak out. I can't believe I forgot one. Just write it down. So we do that. That's if you have time. This year, because of our snow days, I didn't have time. So I just dictated everyone's name. And it worked out very fine, actually. Okay? And then you say, okay, the lesson here is that you need to open your eyes. You really need to make sure that you get to know everybody's name, and all this. Let's have a little talk. And I say, okay, now I want you to write something. This year we really piggybacked the Little Prince about souvenirs, memories. Write a memory you have of that person. Something you did, something you've noticed in them, etc. So I would really like it in French, but if you write it in English, okay. So they do that very, very quietly. And I've told them nothing like what I'm going to do with this. So then I get, this year is 42 sheets of paper. And it was good because they were alphabetized this year. And I look, Connor Power. I can't see that far. Il adore parler du golf. Wait, parler du golf. He loves to speak about golf. Okay, so I wrote da-da-da-da-da. Then I flip it. Where's Connor Power? And I write the next thing. And so I write all these beautiful things that the kids have said about one another. And then on the last day, they get this gift. which is a card of all the things that they have projected to the world. They melt. They melt. I always give a little disclaimer. If there's something you don't like on your card because I didn't understand the inside joke, I will change it. Okay? Because sometimes I'm like, and sometimes there's something they've missed. Not often, my friends, but sometimes, and I'll add it. Okay? Or something that I've seen, you know? And so they really like it. So this says he loves to play golf. He's an excellent golfer. He plays golf very well. He's sincere. He's funny with Eric. He makes, gosh, I can't. He makes the class fun. It's good. I can't even read that far. I can't read that. We survived French 4 together. He's happy. He's funny. It's not a very good copy. He has his feet on the ground. He's dedicated to his sport. He's friendly. He's a good friend. He's funny. He's nice. He's a super person. You feel really comfortable with him, and he smiles a lot. Okay? This is 4. Okay? I learned it, quite frankly, with like 7th grade, you know. So you can do it with anything. Of course, it's a great language activity, but this is Nabil, and he left early this year. So he says funny, and this kid, let me tell you, this kid is a sophomore in my French 4 class. And I had a freshman in a senior class, and I won't do that. I don't care how well they speak French. The gap is too large. It's too large. So I sat him by this goofy guy, who's going to be a fine man, but he's a goofy guy right now. And he just said, "Hey, little buddy." And they became these fast friends. And so there's some things about, you know, he and David being really funny together, and, you know, his French is good, and he joined soccer, and how well he plays soccer. So really, really cool activity. And then, okay, boy in my class this year, 4 years, has had some troubles. I know that sophomore year his parents divorced. It was very difficult for him. He's very non-emotive, but almost always there. And if he's absent, he comes back, no problem. So I know he's super duper smart, but he's just not going to put himself out there. And at the end of the list, right, write something about all the people. He said, "I have spent almost 4 years with these people. They are a part of the reason why I decided to stay in French. I also have a very good teacher," which doesn't mean anything. "I have a feeling I'm going to miss this class." And I went to my principals and I said, "You guys have been hammering us. Get relationships with those kids. Get relationship with those kids." I said, "That's really right." I said, "But I now know that my first job is to provide opportunity for the kids to have relationships with one another. I need to be the facilitator of that." And we are in the perfect position. That's an American dream, right? That we can do that for kids. You know, we do think they're in their phones too much. And you know what else? They know they're in their phones too much. They do. They just don't know how to get out of it, right? So, and we don't know either, right? Facebook at night. I got to go to bed. I've got to go to bed. Okay? So this just, I burst into tears. And I saw him the next day. When I gave the cards, and I said, "I just want to thank you for what you said." I decided not to share this with the class. He was the kid, you know. I knew I shouldn't share that with the class. All right, so Twitter Thursday. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing. If you are not on Twitter, try it, okay? You know, you hear all the time, it's the cesspool of the internet. Well, if you follow the wrong people, yes it is, okay? Everywhere's a cesspool if you follow the wrong people. But, you know, you follow teachers, you follow the Eiffel Tower has her own account, things like that. And we do this every Thursday, and the kids just love it. And, you know, this is where I kind of get worried about my CI-ness. I'm like, okay, I'm speaking a lot of English here, you know. But there are things that we do language-wise with the Twitter, which I'm running out of time per usual. So first of all, this is why the picture of me out here looks so weird, because it's me blowing a cup of coffee. Okay, my little flower picture, I look a little like seductive, which is not true. Okay, so I do everything. Lately it's maybe a little different, but I do everything from local news, right? World War II veteran gets France's highest honor. It's so beautiful. The man was speaking French, the French Legion of Honor guy who was here representing the government of France. That was beautiful. It was National Cheese Day. We can talk about cheese. These are These are graduates of French 4 who ended up in French 2 films this year. Sisters and friends and things like that. You know, sometimes, well, this is the Eiffel Tower, but you know, sometimes it's just fun videos. It's just puppy videos and kitten videos and stupid stuff like that. And I asked them in the middle of the year, I'm like, please be honest with me. You know, some people are saying, you know, the Twitter is blah, blah, blah and everything. I'm like, oh my damn, it provides us with a break, you know, and all that stuff. So if you want to talk about Twitter, I will talk about Twitter with you. It's a cool thing. And you know what else it is? PD and your PJs. You follow the right people, you can get some professional development sitting there for 15 minutes, you know, drinking your coffee, whatever. I also feature on Facebook, and I decided I need to do this on Twitter. If I run into a graduate of Ames High School who is in my class or even who wasn't in my class, but I know them, I take a picture and then I put them on Facebook and I edify them, right? You know, this is Megan. She graduated from French 4. She is now teaching at Ames schools in the middle school. She's teaching English. This is Thomas. He was in my homeroom. And he was in swimming. He loved this Special Olympics swimming. So I saw him at the downtown farmers market. So, and this is the first time. This is Pat Parker. She taught Spanish when I was teaching Spanish or French and Spanish the first time at Ankeny rather. And then this year, the most fabulous thing happened in Paris. This girl texted me as I got off the plane. Madame, I'm living in Italy with my Air Force husband. We're going to Paris next week. Can you give us some advice? And if you're ever in Paris, I'd love to get together. You know, I'll come up. It's really easy. And so I was like, I'm here right now. And so we had the most fabulous afternoon with this beautiful couple. I was, you know, taking them around Paris. And then it got out on the social media. I met a total of 8 kids who had graduated from Ames High School who were in Paris at the time. And so it was really fun. Okay, awesome video. I always have too much crap. All right, so keep learning, okay? Look at, now we're going to talk about CI, okay? Then I started doing CI, okay? And I was a hot mess, okay? We went to one Blaine Ray thing. We came back and we like jumped in the deep end, 3 of us. And it's okay. But, you know, an optimist is someone who figures out that a step backward after taking a step forward is not a disaster. It's a cha-cha. So we cha-cha. And then these are my Sealed by Literacy kids. I'm so proud. I visited Van Meter, do that, visit other people in other districts. We adopted, instead of textbooks, we adopted CI, just what John was talking about. These are my kids in action. Okay, here's the very last thing I want to tell you. I was at IWLA a couple years ago. I was in Iowa City, and we had a session on the shortage of language teachers. And it was quite depressing, especially for French people. And I saw this on Twitter. All right, where we honor our kids who have signed for football, which my son did, so nothing against that. I signed for football or this or that. These kids have said they want to be teachers. And they were honored by their faculty with a signing ceremony. Should we not be doing that, right? Or when we find out later, because we run into them at the farmer's market, you know, talk about your kids. You know, I went through all my Facebook kids at the end of the year. Said, I found this kid, and she's taking French, and she's taking French, and she's doing this, and they were just all ears about that. So here's some of my kids, and then remember, Cha-Cha Fisker. I just love him. I probably put that on Twitter, so but we talk about it. So thank you very much. What up? Live your dream.